the new, rejuvenated, united, albeit still somewhat injury-plagued. We'll get to the Gordon Hayward injury, but this Celtics team is just, it's 2 games, and especially in game 2, but locked in, Ben. A blowout last night, roughly a 30-point win, contributions from everywhere. The bench was fantastic. Jason Tatum is quite literally and statistically getting better by the game. It is not taking away from the performances of Jaylen Brown and Kemba Walker. I mean, we joke about it every week, but pretty soon it's going to be real if this continues. We might have to have that virtual duck boat parade.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, they have played really well. It's kind of hard to tell because Philadelphia's played equally as bad, or it seems like they're just ready to go home. So it's hard to tell, and we'll get into the Hayward thing later, and I think that will be having more of an impact like in the second round. But it certainly seems like they should coast through this series.
I was going to save this until the very end of our conversation, but you alluded to it right there, so I think it's important to hit on. Maybe it is true the Sixers, no Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid's not 100%, the guys aren't clicking. There is that element of, do they just want to go home? You can't help but ask that when a team falls behind in a series. Like if a team in a normal year were down, I don't know, 2-0, 3-1, whatever, you wouldn't count out their ability to come back. You'd say, go get some games at home, the travel, home cooking, home fans, whatever the advantage, they can rally, they can turn things around. They're motivated. Well, this is not normal. This is, we talk about this all the time to the point where I realize it's kind of cliche, but it's true in a bubble environment in Orlando where at least right now, friends and family are not there. It is just, very small groups per team, all these hotels kind of staying together. There is that element of who wants to stay, who wants to fight, who wants that Larry O'Brien trophy, and who doesn't care enough, who just wants to go home, who isn't into August and September playoff basketball, which is why I believe firmly one of the favorites, whether it's the Lakers, the Clippers, the Bucks, I don't think they're going to win the championship. I think it's going to be, and that doesn't automatically mean, hey, it's going to be the Celtics total homer over here, as much as I think the C's have a chance. I think it's going to be one of those teams that we're not talking as much about, because I think that mental approach to what this all is just so incredibly important this year.
Mm-hmm. I agree. As it pertains to this particular series, I think I forget who mentioned it on the broadcast last night, but it was a great point. Just down 2-0, normally the Sixers would be going home. They're going to be juiced by their fans. They have that whole narrative where, like, until you lose a home game, you're still in the series or whatever. But that's just totally gone. And this is just what it this just is what it is. You got beat twice. There's no reason for optimism other than, hey, if we win game 3, maybe maybe we're back in the series. But it seems like there's no reinvigoration for the Sixers in this series. And I agree with the larger point, like I'm sure we'll talk about the Raptors, but the Raptors strike me as a team who, it's these teams that are well coached, they know who they are, and they play super together. And that's, the Raptors have been probably the best at that in the bubble, but the Celtics certainly fall into that category too.
One of the things I said last week about, and we said with Abby Chin, that I was a little worried about with Philadelphia, because they couldn't, as you said, you can't get that juice from your home crowd to really get you going, is who on their team provides the energy that they need to come back from something like this, right? Because you look at the Celtics, Marcus Smart's the obvious character you're going to pick for that, right? It's he, as soon as he hits the floor, there's automatic energy. It doesn't matter whether it's starting or he comes off the bench. But you look at the Sixers last night. They had a great first quarter. They shot 78% from the field in the first quarter. You're like, oh, they're coming out. There's some purpose there. But the Celtics are going to make a run. They did. Tatum had his own little run. Kemba had flashes. Jaylen would take over at points. And then all of a sudden it's a 10 to 15-point game, and there's no energy on the bench. And where does that energy come from? It's not going to be Joel Embiid. It's not going to be Al Horford. He's never been that guy, right? It's not going to be Matisse Thybulle. He's a rookie. That's not how this works. Tobias Harris is a really quiet guy. Was it going to be Shake Milton or Josh Richardson, or is it going to be that whole team hates Brett Brown? At least it looks like they do. So it's not like where does that energy come from? And now, and as you mentioned, that you're down 2-0 in a bubble where you can't get that juice. Like, I hate doing this because it's, these are professional players. Anything can happen in a series, but just by looking at the body language on the other side of the floor there, it doesn't look pretty for Philadelphia. This might be a quick 4-and-out series here for Philly. That's not how they picture this season going at all.
Yeah.
What Evan's telling you is the series is over. It's done. Celtics have already moved on to round
I said
two.
season 5, so I'm not saying that I didn't see this coming, but this is a little different, I think.
It does certainly feels that way, and it's like Embiid is sort of a classic example. It's like his like body language is indicative of like the series as a whole. Like he comes out like, I'm going to dominate this game, and then by like the second quarter, he's like either too tired or he's just like resigned to the fact that the Celtics are a better team than the Sixers, and he's just sort of loses focus, and then it's all done. That's what it feels like